He'll break screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker, who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. This is the part of the intro where I'm supposed to say Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch. Come join us 4 days a week. On Wednesday, Steve Taylor, DP, one-on-one with DP. Steve Taylor, former All-American Nebraska quarterback. They go 11 to 1 combined as well. Grab your lunch. Come join us. But it would be false advertising this week. Spring break, first of all, hopefully everyone's having a spring break that is on spring break, which I do believe is the majority of people in the LPS system anyways. All my kids are on spring break, and they're all LPS, elementary, middle, and high school. So you're probably doing what I'm doing, which is if you're not gone somewhere, then you're trying to figure out how to entertain your kids and also, get crap done around the house. As much as you love your children, it's like, hey, just because you got the day off doesn't mean I do. But I can't say Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday this week. Why? Because I'm taking Thursday and Friday off. I'm really not. We're covering state basketball for the boys. All right, so in my defense, it was not my choice. I also did not argue. But Monday and Tuesday this week, back to Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday next week, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch. Come join us. What you're going to hear is Husker sports, college football, and sports in general. What you're going to get is unique insight, unbridled honesty, and producer Jake and I are going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. Today's show, Jake, what do you think today's show is? Starts with an L.
Loaded.
It is loaded. These are all the different sports we're going to talk about this first hour. I mean, look at the amount of papers here. And no, I printed these out. I did not type all this. I don't have time to type all this, but it's a lot of information on a lot of sports from, oh my God, men's basketball. Bryce Williams is human, and everybody else, you can't contribute a little when he has an off day. What was that? All right, men's basketball, women's basketball, men's tennis, gymnastics. We have a couple of Big Ten championship wrestlers as well, baseball, softball, and there's even more sports in here. All right, I want to give a shout out actually right off the top to Emma Spence. We've interviewed her here on The Ticket. All right, a Nebraska women's gymnast is officially a nominee for the 2025 AAI Award, basically the Heisman of women's gymnastics, recognizing the top senior female gymnast in the nation for their dedication, leadership, and obviously excellence in the sports. So congratulations to Emma Spence. On a random side note, I do know she wants to get into doing some speaking. I'm part of Mid-America Speakers Bureau. Okay, people are bringing me in to do speeches, motivational speaking, things of that nature. And her and I have kind of chatted about that. So if you have an interest in bringing Emma in, that is something she would like to do more of in the future as well. At the top of the hour, Matt Rhule has come out and said, Rhule believes Dylan Raiola is ready to take the next step heading into the 2025 season. That's going to be at the top of the hour, noon. And then since, I took Thursday, Friday off, covering, not me, but The Ticket was covering the girls' state basketball tournament. The boys is this weekend, which is why after Monday, Tuesday, see you Monday next week, I'm not as cool as the high school basketball games, but that's okay. I've accepted that a long time ago. All right. So we did not get a chance to talk about the pressers from last week. Defensive line coach Terry Brad, Mike Eckler is going to be fun to talk to. All right. A couple other people spoke as well. We're going to break down their presser notes. And we got one clip from Matt Rhule that we've not yet gone through. I think we had like 8 or 9 clips from that interview he did with Josh Pate. There's one left. Full disclosure, don't remember what it's about at all. But it must be important because I sent it to Jake. So we're going to play that at some point between noon and 1. And whatever it is that he talks about, I think I do have a general idea. I just don't remember specifically. Jake and I are going to react to that. Carriker's Trivia Challenge is back today. Hopefully around 12:30. Depends on when an individual calls in. But Jake, I know we're going to talk about this more at the top of the hour. But when Matt Rhule says he believes that Dylan Raiola is ready to take the next step heading into the 2025 season, what does that mean to you? What would the next step mean to you? We're going to talk about this more in depth at noon. But what does that mean? Like, when I read that might mean something to me. It might mean something different to you. Lord knows how many people are out there listening. Each person might have a slightly different take on that. What does that mean to you? Like, what does the next step for Dylan Raiola look like to you?
Well, obviously you hope he makes a lot of progression here. And I think there's, certain things that we all could probably say that Dylan didn't necessarily progress over the last season. And I think that you'd like to see that. To be quite honest, again, a lot of people, mid-season, if you would have went through who's going to be the top quarterbacks next year, Dylan Raiola would have been on that list. By the end of the season, he was not on a lot of those lists. So you kind of got to make up ground again to leading this team. He has not had a 300-yard game, with Dana Holgorsen in there, with the offense that they've kind of provided around him. I think you kind of got to get back into Dylan Raiola. I wouldn't say Nebraska won the games despite Dylan Raiola or anything like that, but I think this would be kind of the next step to me is starting to win games because of Dylan Raiola.
Ooh, I like how you put that. I like that a lot. I'm going to say nothing because I'm going to save mine for the top of the hour, and I want to get more out of Jake, but I think that's a great way of putting that. All right, Matt Rhule has said making this offense his own. Jake says, hey, let's not win games in spite of Dylan Raiola. Let's win games because of Dylan Raiola. That's a great way of putting that. I got my own twist, my own thoughts on that as well. All right, men's basketball. Again, we're going to dive into that more at the top of the hour. Basically, noon to 1 is going to be football for the most part. And I got some other interesting tidbits as we go along here as well. Nebraska men's basketball loses. I'm just going to say lose. I was going to say something else. Got mollywopped, but lost 83-68 at home yesterday. To say they collapsed down the stretch, and I mean, I take no joy in this. I'm just kind of like a little befuddled. They lose their last 5 games. They lose 6 of their last 7. A lot of these were one-possession games. They came down to the end. If you remember some of these games, you think back to that Michigan game. You think back to the Minnesota game, double overtime versus Ohio State. Iowa was not a one-possession game, or it came down to the end yesterday. I remember us talking on this show at one point. Like, they're in. They're in. As long as they don't utterly collapse down the stretch, they're in. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I forget, was it Michigan? I think it was Michigan. It could have been one of these games. You were like, man, they might be a 10 seed if they win this thing. Like, they just got to win this game and they're in. They may not have to win the rest of the season and they're in. They didn't win the rest of the season, including Michigan, and now they're not even in the Big Ten tournament. I mean, I assume they're going to get in the NIT. Full disclosure, I don't pay a lot of attention to the NIT. I know we won it in 96, and that was a big deal. But, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the NIT, which, by the way, is when all these college football guys talk about, the G5 teams should get together and they should have their own NIT-type national championship. No, that idea sucks. It's awful. Nobody cares. I like Cinderella. Even if Cinderella just wins once every 5 years, it's worth it because you're going to get blowouts in the playoff anyways. I don't know how I made that about football, but my point is simply this. The way they ended the season is obviously very frustrating. It's very disappointing. You can see it on Hoiberg's face. He handles himself very well. He's a very classy guy. He's like Matt Rhule in that aspect. Very classy guy, handles himself well. You can see the frustration. You can see what's bothering him, that it is bothering him to the nth degree. Why can't we just get over this hump? Why can't we get a win or two? Why can't we just finish some things off? But I thought he said it best, because what frustrated me the most down the stretch was the body language. It just wasn't there. Not only it wasn't there, it was definitively not there in everybody, throughout the team. And when you're watching a basketball game, effort shows up more often on defense than it does on offense. With all due respect to James Harden and other great scorers and players in the NBA, hey, the fact that you can score is great. I will never be fans of guys like that, particularly because they're lazy on defense. They don't even try. Now, when it comes to Nebraska, I'm not just saying they completely gave up, but the effort was not what it was at the middle of the year, beginning of the year, when we were playing much better basketball. The effort was not there. The transition defense on defense was not there. The fight, the scratch, the claw, the difference in why we lost so many close games at the end, the it factor was not there from the neck up and the 6 inches between the ears, in my humble opinion. I'm not saying they just flat out gave up. I'm not saying they were flat out lazy or just flat out laid down. I'm saying it's a little different the way it looks, the way it comes across, the way it feels when it is there. And even Hoiberg said that was frustrating to him. That specific thing. Which when he said it, I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing too. Yes, it'd be nice if somebody else stepped up and scored more consistently than Bryce Williams. Jawan Gary's obviously a very good player, and other players are very, very capable. I love watching Sam Hoiberg. He's the one guy who gives very good, consistent effort. I'm not bashing anybody. But when you lose this many games in a row, and you have this end to the season that you do, something's missing, or some things are missing. There's more than just this, but it all starts with this, in my humble opinion. What are your thoughts, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to start to question those things when you've had 6 games losing streaks, 5-game losing streaks. I mean, now losing streaks are a trend for this team. So that's not good. Just to kind of reiterate what you were kind of saying, it's crazy because you do that in almost every situation when you're going down the final couple games in a season. You just like, yeah, unless complete catastrophe happens, then this can happen. And it happened. And Nebraska lost all these games, and slowly it was like loss after loss. I was checking the bubble and bracketology, and it was like, all right, well, still a chance. All right, still a chance. Got to do this. And they couldn't get a win. Obviously, yesterday, Bryce Williams, who averaged 20 points per game, was second in the league in scoring. Didn't have his best game to send him off on senior night, so that was a little bit disappointing. But it did feel like at a certain point, Nebraska was, maybe had gotten in their own heads a few times this season and just had a trouble, and whatever that might be. I mean, Coach Hoiberg was trying to during their winning streak after they lost 6 games in a row. They won 5 out of 6, and during that winning streak, he was trying to press buttons as far as different lineup combinations and different starters there. So even during that time, it was just kind of like, all right, that's kind of weird. You usually don't see that in a winning streak, but it just felt like they never were able to kind of package together what their identity or who they were going to be. And like you said, in some previous years, that's been defense. You can go back to that if you're not hitting your shots. This team didn't necessarily have that. I mean, so there was just some holes from the beginning, but and I know a lot of people want to go to that and say, okay, well, maybe this is a GM problem more than a coach problem, which we can say in college sports now. But what baffles you is that they were able to get so many good wins. They had such a great non-con. They beat Creighton. They beat top 25 teams in Illinois and Oregon. I mean, so at some point they were able to get it to work. It just wasn't enough.
Isn't this the most amount of ranked teams we beat in one year?
Maybe, yeah.
Was it ever?
I believe so, or right up there. I mean,
so, see, that's what I'm talking about. Certain things will travel. Okay, an attitude will travel. Effort will travel. Defense will travel. You can go 0 of 50 shooting and still be a great defensive player, which will keep you in the game. Certain things travel. In football, I will tell you right now, speed travels. Bobby Bowden. Okay, they haven't been the same. I know they won the one national championship under Jimbo Fisher, but they haven't been the same since Bobby Bowden. And they weren't FSU, the Seminoles, before Bobby Bowden. He said one of my favorite quotes ever, and I quote, speed. Either you have it or you're chasing it, end quote. Like, to me, certain things travel and certain things don't go away. When you have the most amount of wins versus ranked teams you've ever seen as a basketball program, not only do you not get your first ever tournament win in that same season, you don't make the NCAA tournament, and you don't make the Big Ten tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, what that tells me is talent is there, ability is there. What's missing is the things that travel. And the things that travel outside of speed are typically things that you can control. Effort, attitude, and in basketball, defense. There aren't very many players who can be good on offense who can't also be good on defense. I know a lot of players who suck on offense and are good on defense. Defense is a lot of effort. Who wants to give it and who doesn't? How in the world can you be that volatile? You get the most ranked wins you've ever had in a basketball program, and you don't even make your conference tournament. You just had to be top 15 out of 18 teams. That's it. I mean, what's the percentage? What are the odds that you're going to make it, even if you're not good? That's the most frustrating thing about me when it comes to this basketball season, because the talent was there, the potential was there. It's Rink Mass that was out this year. I have that. Yep. I mean, obviously, we missed him. But you look at the women. They don't have Natalie Potts. Wasn't she the Big Ten Freshman of the Year last year? And they found a way. Like, I even texted Jake over the weekend. I forget my exact wording, but I was like, the women are in, right? Like, there's nothing that can be done at this point to keep them. Like, they have found a way to get in. And Jake's like, yes. And then he, may have said something about the men that was, I chuckled at. But And I don't want to laugh at, any team that we have because we love and support all Nebraska's teams, but we got to keep it real. We got to keep it honest. Again, don't just look at the part of the picture that you want to look at. You got to look at the full picture. You got to see everything. So for me, this was a talented team, Nebraska standards wise, had some very good parts to the season, had some ups, obviously, had some downs, but I tried not to bring it up as much, but consistently, it's the hardest, consistency is the hardest thing to find. It's the hardest thing to find. It's the hardest thing to find. Just doing the same thing day in and day out over time, over years is hard to do. And then doing it at a high level, and then trying to get better at a high level. That's why so few people can do it. And that was the biggest thing Nebraska was missing. And it started, in my opinion, from the neck up and the 6 inches between the ears. Not saying these guys didn't try, not saying they didn't have some heart, but the consistency from the mental approach was absolutely not there. And it starts there. We can talk about the rotation on defense. We can talk about injuries. We can talk about all these different things. So somebody, who was it? I forget who it was. They're like, oh, we should have gone to the Tim Miles 1-3-1 defense. Well, you can go to a 2-3. You can go to 1-3-1. You can go to full court press 1-2-2, 2-1-2. You can do any of that stuff. You can do the man, which is what most teams do. You got to have great help side defense and man. You got no chance at all. We can talk about all those things. It's not going to make that big a difference. There was an underlying thing of something that travels that didn't travel because it didn't go consistently wherever the team went. And that was just having that dog in you, having that fight in you. And I want to give a shout out to Bryce Williams. Obviously, it didn't end the way he wanted yesterday. Second in the Big Ten in scoring, 20 points a game. He was 3 of 15 shooting from the floor, 3 of 12 field goals, 0 for 3 from three-point range, 1 or 2 free throws on the day, 7 points. Obviously not a Bryce Williams type day, but I look at him like, you are human. I was wondering. That's amazing. It's okay to be human. Where's everybody else at? Juwan Gary stepped up with 24 points. Sam Hoiberg had 12. But that's when the rest of the team has to step up. It's kind of like when there's an injury. It doesn't matter what sport it is. It could be football, basketball, baseball, whatever. Like if it's a team sport, there's an injury, everybody else has to step up. Or the team's going to falter. That's just how it works. Like if somebody can only give 60% or they're only healthy at 60% or they're out or they're having an off day and they can only give 60%, that's 40% that's missing. It's got to be picked up by everybody else at some point. And you see the good teams do that. All right. Any final thoughts on men's basketball? NIT, what do you think's next for him, Jake? And any thought? Oh, I guess in the headline of the show, we put, is Fred Hoiberg on the hot seat. What are your thoughts on what's next for Nebraska basketball this season, NIT, etc.? And Hoiberg, should he be on the hot seat?
Well, it's interesting, a few thoughts here. And part of the reason Nebraska is not going to the Big Ten tournament, and maybe the reason you would say they struggled this season is the tiebreaker. So they won 7 conference games. Mm-hmm. You'd normally think they would get in, but everybody they're tied with, Iowa, Northwestern, USC, Minnesota, they lost to. So when you're talking about those ranked wins that they got, the other part is losing a lot of games to the lower half of the Big Ten, which Nebraska is in. But you would obviously to have a better season, you wouldn't want. But it also did interest me that they didn't take too much time to say, Fred Hoiberg, I think getting out in front of it's probably a good idea to say we are gonna go after a postseason. And the NIT certainly would be up there. The college basketball crown, which is kind of another NIT, is taking over this year.
What is
Vegas.
that? I don't even know what that is.
It's another NIT.
We need more.
Apparently,
why do we need more?
This is supposed to be a level above the NIT. So it might even take away a little bit from the NIT.
No, I'm really not going to pay attention to the NIT.
Yeah, right. If that's a thing to you. But I thought that was interesting, too, because we'll see what happens. We saw in college football, as soon as the season ended, there are like 9 guys out the door.
Yep.
I wonder if the rosters are going to look the same
point.
when we kind of get to those postseason. But the other thing is,
I didn't even thought of that.
This kind of felt like a season that, do you want to, do you want to keep the team together and finish on a good note? I guess, but it just kind of feels like with the way that it ended, I was wondering, I wouldn't have been shocked if they would have said, you know what, we're going to focus on next season. As far as the hot seat thing, I think that's too early. They did have a winning season, second winning season in Fred Hoiberg's tenure here, but I think it does put a lot of pressure on next season. And there's a lot of work to be done with the roster for next season, because as of right now, they don't look, with what they have returning, would be probably a bottom portion Big Ten team now as well.
The NIT, the nobody's interested tournament. Now, if Nebraska's in it, I will pay attention. That's the one time I will pay attention. I'm not going to act like I pay attention if they're not in it. Now there's this Crown what tournament? Sounds like a baseball tournament my son would play in high school.
Yeah, it's the college basketball crown.
I'm not going to pretend to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be interested in that either unless Nebraska's in it. Then I'll pay attention. Hey, did you know? So the ACC is like a basketball conference, right? Been a basketball conference for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how many ranked matchups they had this year? One ranked team versus another ranked team. How many they had this year? And know that it's absurdly low. Zero. In the freaking ACC. Are you kidding me? I couldn't believe that. The ACC is not even good at basketball anymore. They're still going to be around until 2031, though. 2031, if you're a college football fan, is when college football, as we know it, which has already changed a ton, could literally go kaboom and everything could get blown up as we know it, just in an insane fashion, not to completely switch topics. And we will dive more into that as the offseason goes along. All right, Nebraska basketball, we'll see what happens. NIT, Crown, I keep wanting to say Plaza, just because of the old Home Alone. Not Crown Plaza, that old Home Alone 2 movie. But the Crown tournament or whatever it's called, if Nebraska's in it, I will pay attention. If they're not, I'm not going to, and I'm not going to pretend that I will. With all due respect to all the teams that are in it, there's only so much time in a day for yours truly and everybody else on earth. As far as Fred Hoiberg and the hot seat stuff, here's why I put that in the headline, and here's why I wanted to address it, because people sent it to me, and they were asking, is Fred Hoiberg on the hot seat? Should he be on the hot seat? I'm going to definitively say no, because I think I brought this up in the middle of one of our losing streaks during the season. And because people were asking me at that point in time. I pay attention to what people sent me and what they asked me on social media and things of that nature. And at that point in time, I said, who would you bring in that would be better? Fred Hoiberg is considered a very good young coach. He's a Midwestern guy. Did you know that he was actually born in Lincoln? His dad actually was the coach of the University of Nebraska way back when. So I don't know if ties to Nebraska and the university or Nebraska itself matter to you, but take that all out. He's a good young basketball coach. He's a classy guy too. He really is. Lesser men would have just lost their freaking heads at the end of the season. And you could tell he was frustrated. He didn't really hide it, but he composed himself well. I'd rather we win games. But in the process, I want someone who's going to represent this university with class. He's a good young basketball coach. He has Midwestern ties, and he has direct Nebraska ties, if that matters to you. If it doesn't, he still has them. And here's an interesting stat that I thought I would share with the fine folks here. It was an interesting stat that surprised me. Fred Hoiberg has the most wins in years 4 through 6 of any Nebraska head coach in history. Tim Miles at 50, Doc Sadler 46, Barry Collier 51, Danny Nee 55, Mo Iba 53, Fred Hoiberg 56. Does that matter to you? Is that an interesting stat to you?
It's kind of cherry picking because his first 3 years certainly were pretty rough. I mean,
true.
7 wins, and 10 wins in his first 3 years. But I mean, it tells you the momentum of the program, at least where it is. You get one NCAA tournament appearance out of him. So, I mean, it's something kind of nice to put there. I wouldn't factor it too much.
It is a bit of cherry picking, but the reason I shared it is it's the most important years, as in it's the last 3. So, all right, when we come back, women's basketball, they're probably going to the tournament, so I feel like we should chat about that a little bit. Then we got softball, we got baseball. We got some Big Ten champions on in our wrestling program as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Lincoln's newest restaurant isn't just a typical sports bar. It's the sports bar for so many reasons. Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill in South Lincoln has 23 beers on tap and 36 TVs featuring all things sports from MLB to soccer to golf and more, and football, of course, in the fall. Stop by for their grand opening this Friday, March 14th, and enjoy great food and drink selection at Lincoln's newest go-to, Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill at 27th and Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
If the week's been too hectic to even think about dinner, or your family can't handle one more night of leftovers, then it's time to let Hog Wild do the cooking. Hog Wild's family packs are one heck of a good deal for a complete barbecue meal loaded with all the smoked meats, tasty sides, buns, and sauces you need to feed your family. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Against Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Against Sports at 48th and Vine.
LES wants your feedback. Help shape your electric utility's direction and priorities by taking an anonymous online survey. Make your voice heard before the survey closes on April 30th at les.com/survey.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine. It'll be breezy and warm with an afternoon high around 81. Tonight, clear skies and a light breeze, a low near 38. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies, continued breeze, and an afternoon high around 59. And meteorologist Kyle Klecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call today at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to smokinggunjerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska. Lincoln's newest restaurant isn't just a typical sports bar. It's the sports bar for so many reasons. Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill in South Lincoln has 23 beers on tap and 36 TVs featuring all things sports from MLB to soccer to golf and more, and football, of course, in the fall. Stop by for their grand opening this Friday, March 14th, and enjoy great food and drink selection at Lincoln's newest go-to, Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill at 27th and Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Segment 2 of the Adam Carriker Show is sponsored by our good friends at Mulberry Barbecue, now with 2 locations at 11th and Cornhusker, and as of now, this month, open at 61st and Apples Way, right off of Highway 2 by Lowe's. Both locations are open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Try their burn-in sandwich, a brisket burrito, barbecue nachos, a full slab of ribs, half-smoked chicken, and much more, plus incredible sides. Get fueled for lunch today or make dinner plans at Mulberry Barbecue, located at 11th and Cornhusker, and now also at 61st and Apples Way, just off Highway 2 by Lowe's. All right, let's talk a little Nebraska women's basketball. Had a good tournament run. All right, went out, handled in the Big Ten tourney this past week. Went out and handled business versus Rutgers. Okay, mollywop the Scarlet Knights 84-60. Illinois, I don't know who was favored going into that game. I assume Illinois was favored. And I think at one point we were down by 12, like 14-2 or something like that early on in the game, obviously. But Nebraska comes back. They get a great win. Nebraska was the 10 seed, Illinois the 7 seed. They upset or beat the Fighting Illini 74-70. And then they take on UCLA. All right, one of the best teams in the country. They are projected to be a number 1 seed when the NCAA tournament seeds are rolled out this upcoming Sunday for the women. Actually, I think UCLA and USC are both projected to be number 1 seeds. So welcome to the Big Ten, I guess, USC and UCLA. They played very well versus UCLA. Look at what UCLA did. I forget who they played the next day, but it was like 80-47. They just destroyed their next opponent on Saturday. I forget who it was, but Nebraska played admirably, 85-74. When you have a center for the Bruins who is 6'7", by the way, her dad played in the NBA and he was 7'1". Like, I'm 6'6". So she had a great game. I mean, rebounds, points, just controlling the middle of the paint. And that's not a shot at anybody who plays in the middle on our end. I thought Alexis Markowski played really, really well. I thought Nebraska played really, really well. UCLA is a team that's going to be one of the favorites to win it all. I thought the women played very, very well and admirably against the UCLA Bruins on Friday. The Bruins do end up winning 85-74, but I do believe that this ensures that Nebraska is going to get into the NCAA tournament at this point. And I looked up a couple of projections of brackets and whatnot, and a couple of them that I saw had Nebraska as a 10 seed. Did you see anything different when you looked up and saw where they were projected to be?
No, I think that's about where they fit in. Again, before this 3-game winning streak, they were kind of borderline. Are they going to get in? So there's only so much you could do. They did do a good job. UCLA did end up winning, by the way, the Big Ten tournament. So you lose to the winner of the tournament. Sometimes it makes you feel a little bit better.
It does.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's about where they'll be. And, that usually get a 7-10 matchup. Those are always some of the most competitive matchups. So good puncher's chance for Nebraska. It obviously always depends on matchups and stuff like that. But
yeah, like you said, the 2-seeded UCLA women's team took down number 1 seeded in the Big Ten tournament, USC. Their crosstown rivals, 72-67 on Sunday. So it's interesting because the end of the season, USC and UCLA played for the regular season championship or to be the number 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament, and USC beat UCLA in the actual Big Ten tournament championship. UCLA takes down USC. I do think both those teams are going to be number 1 seeds once the seeding is rolled out. Would you agree with that, Jake?
Yeah, they almost have to be. I mean, UCLA's only losses on the season, they have 2 of them are to USC.
Yeah, so they're both really good teams. All right. Alexis Markowski played really, really well. Throughout the season, she's averaging 16.5 points per game, 8 rebounds, just darn near a double-double. Britt Prince leads Nebraska with 3.7 assists a game, 2 steals a game as well. And Alexis leading the team with 1 block a game. But basically, that's kind of the main 1-2 punch. Those are our top 2 scorers on the year as well, Alexis and Britt. And I think not having Britt towards the end of the year obviously affected the women's team, but having her back right as the regular season was ending and having her back for the Big Ten tournament was obviously huge, and she's got a bright future going forward. And again, I want to commend Amy Williams. When you're Fred, you're dealing with Rick Mass being out, and when you're Amy and you're dealing with the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, Natalie Potts, going down with an ACL early in the season. These are big-time losses. Imagine and it's part of sports. Every team has to deal with this, but imagine having Alexis, Natalie, Britt all on the court together. I mean, how much of an impact do you think Natalie could have had on this team to this point this year, Jake?
Oh, big. I mean, again, you would consider one of their top 3 players. I mean, so obviously you lose somebody like that that's going to be in your starting lineup, give you some more front court depth. That's it took the ceiling down a little bit from this team.
I thought Amy Williams handled the adjustment really, really well. And it's kind of one of those things where I mentioned everybody else has to step up. I thought Alexis flat out balled out so far this year, got a lot of ball left to play. All right, Britt did really, really well as a true freshman. I know 5-star, highly recruited, all that stuff. The same thing I said with Dylan. You never know what you're going to get out of a true freshman. All right, she battled some injuries. She battled, frankly, throwing up in the middle of games this year at certain points this year. I thought she played very, very well, regardless of being a true freshman. Then when you factor that in, I think she's had a very good freshman campaign so far this year. I can't wait to see where they're officially seated in the NCAA tournament, who the matchup is. Hey, they won. They beat A&M last year, got to the second round. Can they at least get to the second round, maybe the Sweet 16? We'll see what happens. Looking forward to watching them when they get back to play come the NCAA tournament time. All right, Nebraska wrestling. Lovett and Hardy are Big Ten champs, and Nebraska wrestling takes second at the Big Ten final duel of the season. Ridge Lovett, 149 pounds. Brock Hardy, 141 pounds. Both claimed Big Ten championships on Sunday evening, highlighting the Nebraska wrestling campaign for its second place finish. The Huskers wrapped up the 2-day tournament with 137 points, the most ever recorded by Nebraska in a conference tournament. Lovett secured his second straight Big Ten title. Shout out for winning 2 in a row. The first Husker to do so since Robert Kokesh in 2014 and 15. Lovett and Hardy's wins make the duo the first in 11 years to bring home multiple championships for the Big Red. The last time was 2014, James Green and Kokesh. The runner-up Big Ten finish for the team is its highest since finishing second in 2020. 4 Huskers placed above their designated seeding. In other words, if they were seeded 7th, they finished higher than 7th, which means they exceeded expectations, so to speak, at least when you look at the seeding. Number 7, Camden McCaniel finished 5th. Number 3, Lenny Pinto in 2nd. And number 3 seeds Hardy and Lovett taking home the titles. 9 represented Nebraska on their respective podiums, 9 wrestlers, that is, and punched their tickets for the 2025 NCAA championships in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with automatic qualifications. All right. When you look at the team results and final standings, Penn State, all right, finished first amongst all Big Ten teams, the 14 that were there. Nebraska finished second, so Penn State had 181 points. Nebraska, 137. Iowa, 112. Take that, Hawkeyes. Minnesota, 108. Illinois, 105. Ohio State, 95. Michigan, 71 points. I think that's pretty cool. And every Tuesday, if you didn't know, now you know, Takedown Tuesdays. All right. Coach Manning comes in, Mark Manning. They bring in wrestlers. DP does a great job giving them a platform, chatting with them, bringing them on, putting them on air. Shout out to all Husker sports. All right. Let's continue to move on. Nebraska softball. And obviously, there's a lot more attention to the softball team being paid this year due to Jordy Ball being back, higher expectations. I mean, we brought analysts on who have said, hey, this is a team that could end up in the Women's College World Series. When you look at Nebraska softball, man, they're kind of an all-or-nothing team. They are fun to watch. I've talked about how they got to get better at the small ball. Hitting with runners in scoring position, moving runners along, whether it's, and bunting is much more, as I laid out before, an integral part of softball. You actually try to get on base with bunting, slap bunts, all that good stuff, because the bases are so much closer, especially lefties getting out of that side of the box. If you've got speed, man, you're almost about 25% of the way to first base when the ball's just left the bat. If you're a slapper hitting it down the third baseline and you're a lefty who's got speed going out that side of the box headed towards first base, because the bases are much closer. They just got to get better with runners in scoring position and being more consistent. Because here's what I'll tell you. Nebraska is now 19-0 when it hits a home run. Think about that. They lead the nation in home runs. They're 19-0 when they hit a home run. When they struggle is when they go 0 for 13 with runners in scoring position or 0 for 14 with runners on base. Okay. Abby Squires homered in 3 straight games for the Big Red. Jordy Ball on Sunday pitched a career-high 9 innings. All right. Bella Bacon had a walk-off RBI in the bottom of the 9th to help the number 20 Nebraska softball team grab a 5-4 extra inning victory over the South Dakota State Jackrabbits on Sunday night at Bullen Stadium in Lincoln. The Huskers drew a crowd of 2,384 for their 2 games on Sunday, which is the 5th highest in program history. The game was a battle until the end. and there were 4 lead changes and 2 ties over the course of 9 innings. The Huskers, 19-6 on the season, had 8 hits to 5 for South Dakota State, who are currently 9-13 on the year. The Jackrabbits had only 3 hits in the first 7 innings, but 2 were home runs. All right, Ava Kuzak was 3 for 5. She's been hot all year long, but she was 3 for 5 on the night to lead the Big Red at the plate. Abby Squire knocked the Huskers' lone home run, a game-tying shot in the bottom of the 8th, while Olivia DiNardo added 2 RBIs. Jordy Ball, who's 10-3 on the year, pitched a career-high 9 innings, struck out 7 batters, and allowed 3 earned runs en route to the win in the circle. All right, let's see what else we got here. The Jackrabbits had a couple of solo home runs to tie it at 3-3. Obviously, Nebraska, as I talked about earlier, won the game with a walk-off RBI in the bottom of the 9th inning, 5-4. Any other thoughts on Nebraska softball before we move on to baseball there quickly, Jake?
No, it's just been an exciting season to follow so far. Now 19-6, like you mentioned. So going into conference play this weekend with Ohio State, having won nearly 80% of your games is a heck of a way to start for softball.
I think it's very exciting, obviously. There's going to be a lot of attention drawn to the team this year due to how they play, due to Jordy being on the team, due to a lot of things. Husker fans are just awesome. I mean, Pinnacle Bank Arena was sold out 11:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning for a men's basketball team that lost, what was it, 4 or 5 in a row. But that was also a big game versus, our good buddies from Iowa as well. So, but you look at Nebraska softball. All right, let's see what we've done. I'm looking at their recent schedule here. Looks like they've won 6 in a row. Right, went down 1-7 to Missouri, beat Wichita State 15-0. Missouri got a little bit of revenge, 10-9, beat Northern Iowa, Northern Colorado, Northern Iowa, South Dakota State. But now, like you mentioned, hit Big Ten play. We got 3 games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday versus the Ohio State University up in Columbus. So Big Ten play opens, competition gets a little bit stiffer, and we'll see what happens. All right, man, before we dive into Nebraska baseball. All right, what are your thoughts on the baseball season so far? For those who don't know, 5-8 overall, 1-2 in conference. Had some games canceled due to weather. I mean, the UNO game, Omaha, was postponed. South Dakota State, that game was canceled. All right. Washington beat us Saturday 5-11, Saturday 3-6. Came back on Sunday, closed out that 3-game set with getting a victory 6-2 yesterday. And we'll chat about that in just a minute here. But what are your thoughts on the baseball season so far, Jake? Being 5-8 so far, and a lot of people are like, hey, this is a team that should be one of the teams favored to win the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, they were picked second going into the year for the Big Ten. So it's obviously not the start you want. They've lost their Friday starter, right? I mean, so you lose your ace to the staff. That could be pretty difficult. And then, you kind of hoped that at least, okay, maybe non-con didn't go so well for Nebraska, but and obviously there's non-con throughout the season in baseball too. But the majority of it, and sometimes that can happen with the cold weather states. So you always have that in the background. But losing 2 out of 3 to Washington, it's a tough start to conference play. And I can't lie if I would say that my hopes have been diminished a little bit for the Husker baseball team this year.
We'll see what happens, because like we chatted about, I mean, basketball is different than football in the fact that you can lose 4 in a row, you can win 6 in a row, and all of a sudden you're right back in it. Baseball is even more so that way. I mean, I was a Mariners fan growing up. I'll never forget 1995. God, they were like basically bottom of the conference, and then Randy Johnson gets hot, Griffey gets hot, Buhner gets hot, Edgar Martinez gets hot, and would they win like 20 in a row, 19 in a row? I forget. I was 95, I was 11. It seemed to me like they won 1,000 in a row, but I remember the whole slogan was "refuse to lose," and they had all these comeback wins, and they made it to the ALCS that year. A team that wasn't at the All-Star break, wasn't even in playoff contention, if we're being realistically honest. So you never know what can happen. All right, but you go to Sunday. Jackson Brocken and Drew Christo allowed just 1 run in 7 2/3 inning combined as the Huskers recorded a 6-2 win versus Washington in the series finale on Sunday afternoon at Hawks Field at Haymarket Park, Nebraska. 5-8, 1-2 in the Big Ten, scored 6 runs on 11 hits and 2 errors, while Washington 7-9 on the year, 2-1 in the Big Ten, total 2 runs on 10 hits and 3 errors. Caden Brumbaugh went 3 for 4 at the plate with a run scored. Case Sanderson drove in 2 runs while going 2 for 4 with a double. Rhett Stokes had a 2 for 4 afternoon as well, while Dylan Carey was 1 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Devin Nunez homered for the 3rd time this season, while Will Jeske and Joshua Overbeek each had a single. Brockett pitched 4 2/3 innings with a shutout to start, allowing just 5 hits and striking out 4 with a pair of walks. And as you mentioned, losing a top pitcher like that, as you mentioned earlier, I mean, that's a big deal. If I were to build a baseball team, I would always start with pitching. So it's kind of like dealing with Natalie Potts being out, Rick Mass being out, injuries throughout the football season. Like every team has to deal with this. And that's when you really start to look at the coach or the manager, or whatever the case may be, depending on whatever that individual is labeled in that particular sport. Hey, what are you going to do? How do you adjust? Because everybody has to deal with these things. So I'm curious to see how Will Bolt handles this and how Nebraska baseball does or does not potentially bounce back. We're going to finish our Husker Sports Roundup after we take a quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Psst. You know what's better than waking up early to go to the airport? Sleeping in. Lucky for you, the lines at the Lincoln Airport are so short and our service is so fast. You won't need to sacrifice precious beauty sleep to get here hours before your flight. So, go ahead. Sleep in. You deserve it. And choose the airport that helps you relax. LNK. Make flying easy.
I'm Chief Dave Engler. When a fire truck hits a pothole with 12 tons of fast-moving equipment and crew, it's a problem. On your ballot in April is a measure to continue Lincoln's quarter-cent sales tax for street improvements. A vote against eliminates the street funding. A vote for will not raise your taxes and keeps the funding in place. And better roads means faster response times. Learn more at LincolnOnTheMove.com.
We use our Lincoln streets every day, and so do first responders. But visitors and out-of-town commuters also do. A quarter-cent sales tax for streets passed by voters in 2019 makes those commuters pay about $6 million a year to improve streets. On your ballot in April is a measure to continue it. A vote against means no more funds from commuters. A vote for will not raise your taxes, and commuters still pay. Learn more at LincolnOnTheMove.com. Paid for by the City of Lincoln.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Hey volleyball fans, this is Laura Dijkema, national player of the Netherlands and now the setter on Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering for us in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action. Go Big Green!
Siraj's Place Convenience Store and BG's Best Restaurant in Lincoln salutes our emergency first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and paramedics for their professionalism, commitment, and bravery. These men and women put their lives on the line for us with little or no thanks. First responders deserve our admiration, so thank them for everything that they do for us. This message comes to you from Siraj's Place Convenience Store and BG's Best Restaurant in Lincoln, serving the best Indian soup and rice every day inside the convenience store.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Lincoln's newest restaurant isn't just a typical sports bar. It's the sports bar for so many reasons. Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill in South Lincoln has 23 beers on tap and 36 TVs featuring all things sports from MLB to soccer to golf and more, and football, of course, in the fall. Stop by for their grand opening this Friday, March 14th, and enjoy great food and drink selection at Lincoln's newest go-to, Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill at 27th and Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
Are you a detail-driven leader with a passion for radio? 93.7 The Ticket in Lincoln, Nebraska is hiring for an operations manager. You'll oversee computerized traffic, programming logs, set on-air schedules, and ensure quality for our content. Plus, you'll train on FCC rules, equipment use, and satellite programming. If you're ready to keep the ticket running smoothly and join the team, apply at theticketfm.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
When you get the Planet Fitness Black Card, you can bring a friend anytime you work out. And now through March 13th, get your first month free when you join. You heard that right. Conquer the stair climber with your partner and climb. Enjoy a post-workout recovery session in the hydro massage. And do it all again with access to any of our 2,700 convenient locations. So, you coming? Get your first month free and all the perks with the PF Black Card for just $1 down, $24.99 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends March 13th. See Club for details.
In the midst of adversity, some are built to run towards the chaos. That's the drive that defines a Nebraska State Trooper. Mission-focused, service-minded, always ready. If you have the drive, we'll help you build a career. Applications are now open to become a Nebraska State Trooper. Numerous career paths, unlimited potential, making a difference for the people in communities all across Nebraska. Apply today at nebraskatroopers.com.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Here's the deal. I want to give a shout-out to a few Husker sports, all right, that we haven't talked about yet. But then Jake and I were discussing something that is monumental. It is ginormous. It is enormously enormous. John Cena turned heel. And if you don't know what that means, it means John Cena turned into a bad guy in the world of pro wrestling. And is that a bigger deal than Hogan joining the NWO in 96? We just lost half our audience. They don't know what I'm talking about. That's okay. We're going to shout out these Husker sports, and then you and I are going to debate that for about 2 minutes before we head into Nebraska football at the top of the hour. Nebraska men's gymnastics takes down number 3, Ohio State. The number 7 Nebraska men's gymnastics team delivers. Number 3, Ohio State. Apologize, my alarm's going off. For their second loss of the season, this improved Nebraska to 7-4 overall, 1-1 in the Big Ten, while Ohio State fell to 9-2. Don't worry, they're still going to get in the playoffs. It doesn't matter, Jake. Okay, I'm just saying. All right, so shout out to Nebraska men's gymnastics. They do things that terrify me, and I find amazingly athletic. Shout out to Nebraska women's tennis. Okay, they're 10-3 on the season, 9-4. Let me see, 0-2 in the Big Ten, but 10-3 on the season. Now, I just want to shout them out. They did lose their last match versus Michigan State. They're getting into Big Ten play, obviously. The season's very early on, but keep an eye on them. Okay, DP's been bringing on the tennis coaches on Wednesday. Like, I try to pay attention to as many Nebraska sports as I can. Win, lose, draw, whatever the case may be. As long as you're not in the NIT, not interested tournament, even then I'll pay attention. I just won't pay attention to the NIT. If you're not in, my point is, shout out to the Nebraska women's tennis team. Yes, they lost to Michigan State 4-2 in a great match, but keep your eye on them going forward. They've got a young, promising season. All right, and Nebraska men's tennis tops the Wildcats behind the double point and 4 single victories. The number 48 Nebraska men's tennis team, 8-4 overall, 1-1 in the Big Ten, defeated Northwestern, who is 8-8 overall, 1-1 in the Big Ten, Sunday afternoon in Evanston, Illinois. All right. Next on the docket is what I had, which is the Husker games. All right, the flag football, all that good stuff. The volleyball, there's a soccer game that weekend. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to save that for tomorrow, okay? Because, Jake, I've got to know. John Cena turning heel. Oh, real quick, I do want to shout this out as I look at this. All right, this is per Evan Bland on Twitter. Breaking Nebraska. Hold on, that's not the right thing. Atlanta Coast. It was Nebraska ace Mason McConaughey. We didn't say his name earlier that got hurt, okay, for Nebraska men's baseball team. So speedy recover to Mason McConaughey. But the Atlantic East becomes the first NCAA conference to launch varsity women's flag football. I just think that that's awesome. And I do have a daughter at home who's going to be elated when I share that with her. She runs around like every day in her Broncos jersey. All right, John Cena turning heel. So basically, long story short, for those who don't know, Cody Rhodes is the world champion in WWE. There's 2 world champs, but he's the main focus. He's a good guy. The Rock, who is now a heel, a bad guy, wanted Cody's soul, wanted him to be a corporate champion, wanted him to sell out. Cody said some not so nice words, essentially no. There was an F word in there with a U, followed by a U. And in the ring was John Cena, the forever baby face. Well, for at least for the past, 20 years since the Doctor of Thugonomics. The Rock just stood there, just stared at Cody, offered him the chance of a lifetime. Cody told him to shine it up real nice, turn it sideways, and you can figure out the rest. John Cena's in the background. He's the ultimate good guy. People have been clamoring for years for him to turn heel. He hasn't done it, even though he's originally heel. Then he went good guy forever, was the face of the annoying PG era in pro wrestling, drove me nuts. But he's still one of the best to ever do it. He's celebrating. He's doing all this good stuff. He's making one final run. He's got 10 months left in his pro wrestling career, and then he's done forever. So he's not going to turn heel now. He didn't do it for 20 years. He's not going to do it now. Goes to give Cody a hug. He's so proud of him. And you see him just stare at The Rock. And his facial expression changes. And The Rock does the throat slit thing. John backs up and kicks Cody right in the gonads. And everyone went bonkers. And I'm not going to lie, I did too. John Cena. And then they proceeded to beat the crap out of Cody. You can figure out the rest. Travis Scott should not be in a wrestling ring. But that's a topic for another day. Cody's eye and burst eardrum would back that up. Jake, when Hogan came down, 96 bash at the beach, Bobby Heenan still ruined it. What side is he on? Why are you asking? I remember as a kid, why is he asking that? Like, it kind of ruined it for me. But him dropping the leg, what was it on Sting? Was it Macho Man? I don't forget who he dropped the leg on, but turned heel, turned bad guy, formed the NWO as the greatest heel turn in history. It's one of the reasons I still put Hogan ahead of Austin, because Austin's heel turn was god-awful. At Houston at WrestleMania, I think it was at WrestleMania 17 when he turned on The Rock. Is the John Cena heel turn, is it bigger than the Hogan heel turn? And then we'll go to break, get to football. But what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's comparable, and that's what everybody's kind of saying. And for what it's worth, for wrestling fans, myself included, the heel turn, that's the fun, right? Is you're cheering on a good guy, and all of a sudden he turns a bad guy, and you're lost in your emotions. So that's my favorite part of wrestling. So to put it up there, and then the Cody Rhodes too. I mean, the storyline's just fantastic, because it's not that John Cena is turning heel. He's turning heel to get the all-time championship record.
Explain that real quick.
So he's currently tied with 16 championships, kind of top belt championships with Ric Flair
Most
in
all-time.
WWE history. Yep. So, the whole idea was he run the Royal Rumble, and we thought, okay, well, then they might just do this typical Super Cena thing, give him the thing, his flowers kind of on the way out so he can become champion. So that kind of added even more to, the heel turn's not going to happen. So as far as surprises goes, it was just fantastic. And I think that wrestling was maybe a little bit more mainstream when the Hogan heel turn happened. But that's what it was exciting to me, is that with the Cena heel turn, it kind of was mainstream a little bit there last week. So I would say it's definitely comparable. To go with one or the other is kind of tough to say, but those are the two now heel turns that you would first probably focus on in wrestling history, and one just happened this last couple of weeks.
To your point, mainstream, you've got the biggest movie star on planet Earth, The Rock, in the ring. You've got John Cena, who's, I don't know if he's a movie star, but he's in a lot of movies and he's rising. Like, he's a successful actor, I would put it that way.
Yeah.
In the ring. And then you've got the guy in WWE and Cody Rhodes in the ring. I still personally prefer Roman Reigns. Where is he right now? We'll find out. They're not going to do WrestleMania without Roman Reigns at some point. But the top 3 guys you could put in the ring are in the ring, basically. Okay. And then this happens. So mainstream, 100%. I believe it's the most viewed segment. Somebody told me, I'd have to confirm this, that WWE's ever had. Most viewed online segment they've ever had. Again, I have not confirmed that. I was dreading this John Cena run. I will maintain to this day, he was handed a bag of crap and did great with it. He was the doctor of thugonomics, and then the PG era started, and they said, you're going to be the face, and this is who you have to be. So I've never held it against Cena that I couldn't stand him. I know it's what the hand he was dealt. I still consider Cena, one of the best ever. I spent so many years, I did not enjoy watching him. It was not his fault. He was asked to do something. He did it. He did it really well. Just not for me. And I was like, great. Like when Cena comes back and the crowds go crazy, I'm like, no, I don't get excited. I'm excited to see John, but I'm also excited to see him go. Like, it's like, come back and then leave. Like, I don't want to see you all the time. Because all I have is those memories of years when I didn't enjoy watching him. Again, not his fault. He was asked to be the PG frontman for the PG era for kids, which is wonderful. I'm not a kid. And so when he's like, when he won the chamber, I was like, no, here we go again. Super Cena. I get 10 months of this crap. Great. Like, I was not excited at all. When he turned heel, I could not have been more. I'm like, oh my God, I wanted this for so long. I've been waiting for this for so long. Now like the build up to WrestleMania has actually been pretty weak up until that moment. More people have talked about WrestleMania since that moment. Would that happen 9 days ago? Than the previous month leading up to it, or however long it's been since the Royal Rumble. That moment made Cody versus Cena interesting. That moment made WWE way more interesting. WrestleMania, way more interesting. There's so many things they can do with this. It was so unpredictable. So I love Triple H and he's booked phenomenally, but I feel like he's been uber predictable at times. Like WrestleMania or SummerSlam was WrestleMania last year was great, but it was way too predictable. Other than Taker coming out versus Austin coming out, which they tried to get to happen, you could pretty much predict it all. It was still awesome. Then they kind of tried to replicate it at SummerSlam, and I was like, I hate this. I loved Roman coming out at SummerSlam because he'd been gone since WrestleMania, but everybody else, I'm like, oh, this is a poor man's version of what you did at WrestleMania. Triple H has done a phenomenal job, but my only critique is it's been a little predictable at times. This was completely out of nowhere. It was awesome. It was epic. It's a big name. Couldn't have called it. Now everything's way more interesting. And now I want him to win the 17th title. And now I want Cena to come out. Heel Cena is so much more interesting and so much more fun. Now, I don't know if he goes Dr. Thugonomics. I don't really care. I'm actually excited to see this now. And I want him to win. And then I want him to battle Randy Orton. And I want him to battle whoever you want to line up against him. Line them up. All his greatest rivals. Okay? Line them all up. Who's the guy with the soccer mom haircut that he wrestled at one point?
AJ Styles.
AJ Styles. Line them all up. Like, line them all up. And then he can lose to Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, and then he can have his redemption arc going into WrestleMania next year. For all you non-wrestling fans, I was going to say I apologize, but I'm telling you right now, you got to tune into WrestleMania. At least to WrestleMania, it's going to be interesting. If you're a wrestling fan, you know what I'm talking about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got way over time. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk. Matt Rhule has said Dylan Raiola is ready to take the next step. Jake explained earlier what that meant to him. Maybe he can briefly do it again for those who just tuned in. I will explain what that means and how likely it is as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today. There's no place like McKinney's Irish Pub for St. Patrick's Day, so mark your calendars to join in on the fun for their 11th annual Street Festival. The party starts on Saturday, March 15th, with tons of giveaways, a kilt contest, great Irish food, and green beer, and continues on Monday the 17th for actual St. Patrick's Day. Doors open for the bar at 11 a.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. on Monday, and the street party starts at 2 p.m. both days. Don't miss out on great music and great fun with no cover charge for St. Patrick's Day weekend at McKinney's 8th and P in the Haymarket.
What's better than supporting your favorite radio station and eating delicious Nebraska-made products? Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska wants to highlight you, the listener, on the 93.7 The Ticket Wall of Fame at the store. Stop by the store at 48th and R in Lincoln and see their huge variety of small batch gourmet jerky. Or if you're not in the area and want to try some, go to smokinggunjerky.com and enter code EARLY for 10% off your purchase. It's the ultimate low-calorie, high-protein snack at Smoking Gun Jerky of Nebraska.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and March Madness is here, and Koppel is ready to rock and roll. We just closed the books on a tremendous February, and we're locked and loaded for a big March. True 0% APR is happening right now at Koppel on select new models. Plus, Koppel has over $10,500 off list on other select new models. Our pre-owned truck lot is full of late model low gyms as well. So make that short drive down 144th Street or check us out online at koppelcars.com. All deals with a roof credit, 0% is standalone.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine. It'll be breezy and warm with an afternoon high around 81. Tonight, clear skies and a light breeze, below near 38. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies, continued breeze, and an afternoon high around 59. I'm meteorologist Kyle Flecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Siraj's Place Convenience Store and BG's Best Restaurant in Lincoln salutes our emergency first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and paramedics for their professionalism, commitment, and bravery. These men and women put their lives on the line for us with little or no thanks. First responders deserve our admiration, so thank them for everything that they do for us. This message comes to you from Siraj's Place Convenience Store and BG's Best Restaurant in Lincoln, serving the best Indian soup and rice every day inside the convenience store.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Wellman Plumbing at 402-434-2400 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-434-2400.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Hi, welcome into hour 2 of the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's a loaded show, so we went overtime, so we're going to dispense with the pleasantries and dive right into it. First, shout out to my guy, Levante David. If you didn't know, he's the only player last season in the NFL. Year 13 was... He's been playing the NFL for 13 years. Is that crazy? I feel like I was just watching him 2 days ago, Jake, play here at Nebraska. He was the only player in 2024 to record 100-plus tackles, 3+ forced fumbles, and 5 sacks. All right. If you didn't know, now you know. All right. But you probably heard Levante signed a 1-year, $10 million deal to return to the Bucs for his 14th season. If I don't tell you anything, Jake, and I just ask you this question, who's the better NFL linebacker? Bobby Wagner or Levante David? No information, just giving you that question. Take your Husker bias out of it. I don't know who your favorite NFL team is. All right, take that out of it. Who would you say is the better NFL linebacker?
I would say Bobby Wagner generally gets a lot more of more publicity and seems to be among the top of the list.
So keep in mind, Bobby Wagner has played one more season than Levante David. All right, when you look at their careers, Bobby Wagner only has 4 more tackles. Again, that's a whole extra season. Like Levante David gets 4 tackles in 4 plays, okay? Bobby Wagner only has 4 more tackles. All right, let me see here. They have the same amount of interceptions, same amount of tackles for loss. Levante actually has more pick sixes. He has more sacks, more forced fumbles. He has 31 forced fumbles. Bobby has 7. That's a gargantuan difference. And Bobby's a Hall of Famer, to be clear. This isn't bashing Bobby. Bobby's a Hall of Famer. It's pointing out how underrated Levante David is. Fumble recoveries, Levante has 19. Bobby has 12. They both have a championship. Okay, and I think this is why I point this out. Because statistically, I would give the edge to Levante considering he's played one whole season less than Bobby. And he's ahead of him in over half these stats or just barely behind him in the other half. Like, we're talking he's behind him by 1 game's worth of stats, not an entire season. Bobby's made 10 Pro Bowls, rightfully so. Levante's only made 1. How does that happen? How does a guy get that overlooked? And I've talked about this before. Ray Lewis, one of the best to ever do it. If you put his stats side by side with London Fletcher, like London's are actually better. More tackles for loss. I think Ray has more sacks. They're both Hall of Fame careers. But how many more people know Ray Lewis than London Fletcher?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, London's well known, but Ray Lewis is like exponentially well known. The common thread that I see, Levante very quiet. London is not quiet in the locker room, but outside the locker room, very quiet. But man, those two can flat out play some ball. All right. So Matt Rhule believes Dylan Raiola is ready to take the next step heading into the 2025 season. So just give a brief synopsis of what you said earlier, what that means to you, because I thought you put it beautifully.
Yeah, so I just think that, you expect a jump from freshman to sophomore year, and I think you just expect more to be put on his shoulders. Obviously, with this new offense, I think it looks like at least a lot of the transfer portal moves, bringing in Dana Holgorsen, a lot of this is being built around Dylan Raiola, so he needs to take that next step. And to me, that means, winning games because of Dylan Raiola, not necessarily him just being kind of a part of it. Last year, I don't know if there was a game that you would say they won that game because of Dylan Raiola. Even the Wisconsin game, I think he had 1 touchdown pass and didn't throw any, a ball longer than 30 yards. A lot of it was Emmett Johnson kind of, out of the backfield. So I think that's just the next step for Dylan Raiola. It is to kind of be more of a mainstay focus on the offense. And also, you kind of include in that thought process that the defense was the strength of the team last year. At some point, you'd like the offense to not necessarily even be the strength of the team, because I want the defense to be just as good, but to hold up their end of the bargain.
I think the way you put it, win games because of Dylan Raiola, not in spite of Dylan Raiola. And I do think that gives a little bit of a connotation that he played bad last year. I don't think that's what you're saying. What you're really saying is he needs to be the guy that is the forefront of driving us to win games, more so than he was a year ago. And you mentioned it right at the top of the show, I think it was like 5 minutes in, around 11:05, 11:10 when we started the show, you said something to the effect of, he kind of took a dip, which he did. There was a point in the season where he had 9 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. He ended the season with 13 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, which means he threw 4 touchdowns and 8 interceptions after that point where he was 9-3, 3-1. Basically the last 6 games. Because I believe he was 9, and the 9 touchdowns to 3 interception ratio was right at the point where we were 5-1 going into the bye week before the Indiana massacre happened. I've long since said I put that more on Satterfield. Now, I've gone through this in the past, so I'm not going to go through this again. Satterfield's tight end coach, not the OC. But just to talk about that for a second, I thought he was incredibly poorly coached last year. I thought in-game adjustments didn't happen. I thought week-to-week adjustments, because teams were not playing, we're not defending Dylan Raiola and our offense the same the middle third of the season, the last third of the season, as they were the first 4 games of the season. In other words, they kind of figured out, let's light up this young guy, because that's what he really struggles with. And once teams, it really started the second half of the Illinois game. They started to light him up. We didn't block. We didn't protect him well. And he's a young guy. I don't know why teams were trying to light him up to begin with. That's just me, though. My God, that's all I want to do is attack people when I'm coaching or I'm playing or in a competitive situation. But why would you not do that to begin with? And then we never really adjusted to that afterwards. To your point, even when Dana came in, all right, the offense ran better. By far the best game we had was Wisconsin. But it was never really through Dylan. And I gave him grace to the point where I got criticized for it. Like, I'll say it again. He was a 19-year-old true freshman quarterback. You never know what you're going to get. And I'd have people be like, well, he was a 5-star. He was this, he was that. I understand. You can't speed up the clock no matter how much you want to. Now you're an experienced quarterback. In fact, and I've said this before, he started more games, played more snaps, threw more passes than any other true freshman quarterback in America last year. You are now that 5-star quarterback with a full year of experience. You are now that highly recruited kid with weapons around you. You are now a guy who came in with all sorts of expectations. And I've said it before, I'm cool with him going around and going to these games and being the center of attention and all that good stuff, as long as you win games. If you don't, you open the door to criticism wide open, and then some. But if that's part of the package, that win the games. Hey, Joe Namath walks around in these big fancy coats, and he makes these bold proclamations, and he goes out and he wins Super Bowl III, the biggest upset in the history of football at that point in time. Now, I'm not saying Dylan is Joe Namath. I'm not saying he's doing the same things Joe was. My point is, if you're going to be out there, that's cool. Better win some more games. And if that goes hand in hand, I love it. I got no problem with it. But it all comes back to winning games for me. So with Dylan, you phrased it very similarly to how I was going to phrase it. I'll never forget, there was an individual who said, that's Dylan's team. And this dude knows football, okay? That's Dylan's team, and this was before he'd ever taken a snap as a true freshman last year. And I couldn't believe this guy said this. I was like, he hadn't done anything. He's practiced. All he does is practice. Didn't even been here a whole year. Now, that needs to be Dylan's team. When I played at Nebraska, you couldn't be a captain until you were senior. That rule's been gone for quite a while. Whether he's a captain or not, he probably will be. And I tell you what, when I talk to his teammates, Jamal Banks, Emmett Johnson, any of these guys, they love Dylan. They bring him up unprompted and say wonderful things about him. He's clearly looked at as a leader and well-liked in that locker room, which is good to hear. And then you hear, oh, who was it? Was it a strength coach? Which was the coach that said, hey, I was in there at 6 a.m. I thought I beat everyone. I looked over and Dylan's over there doing MMA stuff. Which coach was that, Nebraska coach?
Was that Terry Braden?
I think I don't remember for sure. So I love hearing that type of stuff. Hey, you're going to be at the high school basketball games. You're going to be at the Lincoln Stars games. You're going to be introduced and all this and that. And you're also there at 6 a.m. the next day. Freaking love it. Win some games, and I'll love it even more. So for me, it's time for Dylan Raiola to make this his offense. His offense. I'd love him to be the leader of the team, but I'm not just going to assume that the offense gets to have the automatic leader of the team. Part of that's me being a defensive guy and a defensive lineman. But at least this needs to be your offense. You need to be the guy in charge, and it goes through you. These receivers were brought in to work with you. Dana Holgerson was brought in to coach you and the team. Now, not everything's just about Dylan, but the quarterback is the cog that everything goes through. That's just how it works. It's like a pitcher in baseball or a pitcher in softball or whatever the case may be. So for me, the next step is this is your offense. I don't want you sliding before the first down marker. I want you being able to slide much better time, much more effectively. And when appropriate, I want you to lower the shoulder. When appropriate, I want you to lower the shoulder. And I want you to get up and I want you to pop up. And if it's a big hit, pop up that much faster. This is football. That's what I want. That's leadership. That's how you galvanize an entire team and an entire fan base. The stuff on social media, the appearances, I don't have a problem with that. I've said that. I know people who do. I personally don't. But you want to galvanize and be a leader? Lower that shoulder on 3rd and 1. Don't slide short. Run somebody over or give your best effort to. And if somebody lays you out, the old John Elway helicopter Super Bowl tackle he had versus Green Bay when he was 37, you know what I remember from that? He hopped up and jogged right back to the huddle at the age of 37. That's what I want to see. And win some games. All right. Random surprising stat via @HuskGuys on Twitter. You brought up Emmett Johnson, the passes to Emmett Johnson. Emmett Johnson's 39 catches last year were the 4th most by a running back in Nebraska history. Did you know that?
I didn't know that till now, yeah.
Hey, I got no problem with checkdowns. My buddy Roy Halou, I watched him. He still to this day has the single game receptions record for the Commanders, the Redskins back in the day. 14 as a running back. Beck was our quarterback. All right, just check down after check down after check down after check down. But Roy Halou still to this day has the single game receptions record in the history of the Commanders franchise.
Well, I think too, it was 1 year after you left, but Marlon Lucky still holds the record for receptions at Nebraska in a single season, 75. That's a lot of usage.
How many receivers have we had with 75 receptions?
None. That's the record.
Oh, you're not saying, you're saying the all-time record.
The all-time record, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I would prefer if that belonged to a receiver or at least a tight end, but okay. That's all right. All right. One other thought before we get out of here. Oh, I forgot. Dude, I completely forgot to shout out Carriker's Trivia Challenge. How did I forget that? All right. Carriker's Trivia Challenge is back, at least for today. Then we'll get to our final thought before we go to a break. But if you're interested, coming on air, having some fun, taking on yours truly. You get 3 questions. I get 3 questions. If necessary, a tiebreaker. You can come on air, have some fun, beat yours truly potentially, and win a $100 gift certificate to Automotive Solutions, 2040 Southwest 5th Street here in Lincoln. Win a $100 gift certificate to Automotive Solutions, 2040 Southwest 5th Street here in Lincoln. Jake, the number never changes, but what is it?
402-464-5685.
Call that number. Join us on air. Have some fun. Take on yours truly. Win a $100 gift certificate to Automotive Solutions. Give me the number one more time.
402-464-5685.
All right. Here's a quote that Matt Rhule had. I believe it was on Urban Meyer's podcast. And I quote, "You get to year 2 and you're really trying to master all parts of the offense. I think for us, it's him doing that while at the same time becoming dominant in the little things." Ooh, I love that. Oh, boy. His weight, I forgot that was in this quote. His weight, making sure that he's a guy that can extend plays, making sure that he's a guy that can extend plays. He says it twice, apparently, because this is a quote. Making sure that he's a guy who's nimble, making sure that he's a guy who can run, end quote. Wow. He really wants Dylan Raiola to lose some weight.
He does.
I had not read that quote since last week on Tuesday, because that's the last time I did a show. I forgot how many times he brought that up. That is an important thing. I look forward to watching that process unfold as well. And I know this has been talked about, and I think we even talked about it briefly, but the whole TikTok thing, stern ultimatum issued for Dylan Raiola's Nebraska futures, locker room antics forced Matt Rhule to take strong action. Now, none of us really believe it was the Dylan Raiola, Emmett Johnson video that went out, even though it's been taken down since. But I think we commented on this briefly. But what were your thoughts on the whole TikTok workout, the TikTok punishment, and all that stuff? I don't know. What were your thoughts on that, Jake?
No, I think it's good. Obviously, again, you don't want it to happen at the team facility. So, they did what he could to try to curb that. And that's, again, something that I think it was the other night, John Bullock was kind of talking about it with Chris Kolarovich. Great show. If you didn't go check that out, go and check out that interview. But he said that Matt Rhule does a good job, where some coaches just want to be your friends. He can be that guy, but he's also, if there's something going on that's not, worthy of being in your football program, or the way he doesn't want his leaders to act, he'll go and correct that. So, sometimes you want to be, do you want to be a player's coach? Do you want to be, Matt Rhule is all encompassing. And I think that's, you see part of his strength here, where it's a little bit of fun, right? I think freshmen still did some TikTok dance type of stuff. So a little bit of fun, but a lot of, a little bit of punishment. And now the rules are made clear.
The best coaches I ever had were the coaches that could rip into you like a monkey on a cupcake. And as you're walking off the field, or you're walking out of the weight room, or they see you in the hallway, they put their arm around you. And you know that they genuinely care, and they're just trying to get the best out of you. Like, those were the best coaches I ever had. I feel like that is Matt Rhule's approach, and I feel like that's how he's able to relate to players a lot. With the whole TikTok workout, we did talk about this. And you don't do those things at the facility. Matt Rhule's made that clear. He's laid down the law. He's let them know everything that you said. I also thought it was interesting. None of the headlines ever said Matt Rhule holds players accountable. Matt Rhule, it was always the TikTok workout was in there, because that was the clickbait headline. That was the interesting, like, what? TikTok workout? What does that mean? That was something that just kind of made me chuckle. It was in every headline that I saw. I didn't see a single headline about this without the words TikTok workout in there. Eye-catching. All right, ladies and gentlemen, call that number if you'd like to take on yours truly in Carriker's Trivia Challenge. All right, what do we got? We got one more Matt Rhule clip that we're going to play these next 30 minutes to round out the show at some point. Also, we're going to go through the presser notes from Mike Eckler, Terry Braden, Simpson, all the press conferences that they had last week. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today. Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage door sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, a realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus. Garage doors and more.
Lincoln's newest restaurant isn't just a typical sports bar. It's the sports bar for so many reasons. Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill in South Lincoln has 23 beers on tap and 36 TVs featuring all things sports from MLB to soccer to golf and more, and football, of course, in the fall. Stop by for their grand opening this Friday, March 14th, and enjoy great food and drink selection at Lincoln's newest go-to, Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill at 27th and Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Wellman Plumbing at 402-434-2400 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-434-2400.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
I used to smoke. I thought of cigarettes as my best friend.
They were always there for me when I needed a break.
I also thought cigarettes were my best friend, and then they gave me peripheral artery disease.
I smoked and had a stroke. Actually, multiple strokes.
I smoked and have heart disease. Here's my tip. If cigarettes are your friend, you need a better friend.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Salt Mine City is not only Lincoln's newest brewery, but they're also now serving food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their peanut butter and jelly burger with bacon and cheddar cheese, or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. Don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 11 a.m. every day but Mondays at 8th and R.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Check out all things The Ticket at theticketfm.com. Also, check out Carriker Chronicles, carrikerchronicles.com, also on YouTube. Simply type in Carriker Chronicles. Shout out to Andy Jurassic. We couldn't think of the coach's name who said he saw Dylan in there at 6 a.m. It was D. Shorts. All right, he sent me a text. Also, apparently, Penn State sells their field name, school to receive $50 million for West Home Shore Field. $50 million. I watch pro wrestling, and in the middle of the freaking ring is all these stupid advertisements now and how else to put logos. What if there's a gigantic logo in the middle of Nebraska's field? What would you think? I don't know if that's what Penn State's doing, but they sold the field rights, basically.
I don't know. So much has changed in college football. We don't even have a spring game coming up. So I think at one time I would have been bothered by that, but now
you're just like, whatever.
In the arms race of making money, yeah, it wouldn't be the biggest deal anymore.
All right, we got that last Matt Rhule clip. I'm going to be as surprised as anybody. Actually, once I hear it, I'll remember it, but I don't remember what it is. So go ahead and play that clip, and then we will do a gut reaction. Is that what we're going to do here, Jake? Here we go.
Don't listen to outside people saying you should be doing this differently. That's the hardest part. Hey, well, what if we did this? What if we did that? Well, that's like my fitness journey. You know, like, oh, you're a pretty fit looking guy. I bet you get up and you do the same things all the time. I go to my strength coach every morning. You know, he's in there 5 o'clock. He's lifting every day. You know I am. I send him something from Instagram. Hey, I read this. Hey, I read that. You know, that's me, right? Maybe I should try this. Maybe I should try that. And he's always like, just get in here and lift some weights with me. And it's kind of like that with football. That's where my consistency in my life is in. It's in football. It's in do the same hard, tough things every single day. And when you don't get the results you want, double down, and then eventually will come.
What is the Matt Rhule fitness journey, by the way? What's an update on the Matt Rhule fitness journey?
Bro, you know what? For this time of year, like this is pretty good for me. Normally I'm like terrible all the way. I'm out in the spring, but my strength coach, he made me, we had a goal by the end of the season, I could do 225 5 times. And so I got to like 6, 7. So now I'm like, you know what? I think by the season, I'm going to get to 10 reps at 225. So I just stupid things. Like I'm not ever going to be able to wear that t-shirt you're wearing, but I'd like to be able to walk in the weight room and actually move a little bit of weight, not be on the elliptical. And I like to be able to go play a little pickup basketball with the guys, pickleball. So, yeah, I'm going to find a way to do some things.
Did Matt Rhule just take a shot at the elliptical? Is that what happened there? I actually love that clip. We got a head coach. He can bench 225. His goal is 10 times?
Yeah.
Dude, there's guys at the combine, like DBs and wide receivers who can't do it 10 times. That's pretty impressive to me. I like that he's got, that signals to me a certain amount of work ethic, toughness, and goal-oriented individual. And I know that sounds silly. Like, who cares what Matt Rhule can do? It speaks to an attitude, a mindset, and a self-expectation level, which will translate. I talked about in Nebraska basketball at the start off the show. Certain things translate. They translate from one thing to another thing to another thing. They travel, is what I should say. They travel. They will go, and they will stick with you. I just like that because that tells me how he's approaching other things as well. All right. He talked about the toughness day in and day out. And it's easy to get caught up in what other people are saying. At the end of the day, one of the toughest things a coach has to do is, I don't know if you make a list or whatever the case may be, but you make a list. I would make a list. Somebody else might do a different way. Hey, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to accomplish. This is our list of goals. And then you're going to get this person's feedback and this person's feedback and this outlet's feedback and this outlet's feedback. At the end of the day, there are certain things that are going to make people happy if you do them, but are the best thing for the program. I, to this day, 100% believe the John Butler hire is something that Matt Rhule is ecstatic about. He also well knows that there's kind of a wait and see. Like, people get ecstatic about Eckler. People get ecstatic about Holgerson and the fan base. When it comes to Butler, it's like, I don't know. We'll see. You think he didn't know that when he hired him? He hired Butler because he believed he was the best person for the job, not because it was a popularity hire. And I'm not saying people are against Butler in any way, shape, or form. Just less proven when you think back to last year's secondary and how it was insanely inconsistent, to put it nicely. For me, what I hear is the guy doubling down saying, I know what I believe. I know what I want to do. I believe this is how we're going to find success. I know he sat down with Osborne. I know he sat down with other guys to educate himself on what's unique about Nebraska and how they had success here and how he can try to replicate some of those things. But he's got to do it his way. And to me, he's saying we are going to be consistent with these things that I know will work regardless of what other people are saying day in and day out. And that's what he's saying. And it's not easy. But he believes it's best. And at the end of the day, you want to know what is going to make people the happiest? If he wins. What are your thoughts, Jake?
Yeah, it's good to hear, a guy that, and it makes sense, a guy that has built these programs before, saying let's just, it's not some magic sauce that I have in year 3. It's all the hard work that's been put in before that gets you to this level. So, it's just, you love to hear that because you don't want wavering in confidence and, oh, is this wrong? Or am I doing that? And then he's doing, he's also checking all those boxes, making sure, they're keeping and adjusting to the college football world's as big of as anything these days. But to continue to say, just double down, put it, this, if the results aren't where you want it to be, we've done this before. We've turned teams around. We know what this looks like. So you just got to keep coming after it day after day. And then, like you said, I kind of like the fact that, he's not just yelling at you to do it. He's going to go out and try to improve himself.
Exactly. Since day one, my first gut reaction I ever did when he was hired, and people were like, oh, he's got a losing record versus ranked teams and this and that and this and that. Hey, those are all factually true. Since day one, I've said he's a good football coach. I believe he's going to be the guy that gets us back to winning 8, 9, 10 games consistently. Is he a great football coach? He's never stayed anywhere long enough once he's built him up to prove, hey, now we're a good team. Now we can go take on these ranked teams. Now we're not a team on the rise taking on a team that's already there. Once he gets a team there, he's always gotten a promotion, if you want to look at it that way, from Temple to Baylor to Carolina. He's also looked me in the eye and said, Adam, I don't want to coach anywhere else. So I firmly believe, based on what he's told me, look me in the eye to eye, man to man, when he gets Nebraska to 8, 9, 10 wins, he doesn't plan on going anywhere else. His wife has started a business here in Lincoln. That's been pointed out before. What I've always wondered is he a great coach? Once he gets us there, then what happens? Now, first of all, getting there seems pretty good to me. I would take getting there. So figuring out what happens once we get there is a problem I look forward to dealing with. The question is, in the second half of Illinois, when they make their adjustments, can he make his? When UCLA comes in here more ready to play than we are, can we make those in-game adjustments to bounce back? When we're just dominating Iowa in every way, shape, or form, and Iowa's game plan is, hey, we're just not going to screw up, and eventually Nebraska will give us the game. And then it happens. Can he change that to, no, you better do something because we're mollywopping you, and the scoreboard's going to show it. Instead of, can we find ways to stop giving away games like that? And then can we actually put the exclamation point where we're clearly the better team? To me, those are the only question marks that I have when it comes to Matt Rhule. All right. We got a couple minutes here before we go to break. So let's go to Mike Eckler's press conference reaction and notes from last week. This guy's going to be fun. He made the joke, something about having a calm personality, and then he just kind of, I forget what he said, but he just kind of smiled. Like, I love stuff like that. The sarcastic humor. He talked about, we're going to talk with our pads. Thank you. I love that. Then he talked about Coach Matt Rhule may be the best leader I've ever been around. I feel like I walked into an opportunity of a lifetime. I'm going to give Coach Rhule and everybody in the state everything I've got. His first steps right now is to get to know and evaluate these players, wants to bring Nebraska back to what we all used to be. Blue-collar guy. We will talk with our pads. What are your thoughts and reaction to those initial statements there, Jake?
Oh, you got to love it. And again, he's born in Nebraska, so kind of been through seeing the heyday, and obviously played, was part of that Bo Pelini coaching staff until he got an opportunity to be a defensive coordinator at Indiana. So you can acknowledge and understand why he would take that job. But that you just love that he's in it. He feels like the Nebraska guy in there fighting for you, right? And then also just that he's not going to be talking too much. He wants to turn this thing around and speak with your pads. Listen, that's a bold thing to say given last year's special teams unit's performance. So just even to say that, it's like, okay, there's not just maybe some confidence, but maybe some moxie with your special teams.
Great word.
Nebraska
Moxie.
needs that.
I like that, moxie. That's a great word. I wasn't trying to interrupt you. I was just like, yes,
yeah.
Moxie. I love that word. I love words like grit and moxie and things like that. When I heard that, not only is he saying like exactly what I want to hear, but you said it best. It sounds like it's coming from a Nebraska guy, but it's not being forced. It's not what he's supposed to say. That's just him. And I love that. This is a guy who's proven he's a really good college football coach and is a Nebraska guy. This is not just a Nebraska guy or just a good college football coach. This is a good college football coach who's also a Nebraska guy and gets it. I forgot he was the D coordinator in Indiana. Matt Rhule, Snow, Eckler, Addison, Butler, 5 former defensive coordinators. Oh my God. That's amazing. Too many chefs in the kitchen, too many cooks in the kitchen. What do you think?
I've seen that before.
We'll see what happens. I do think I pretty much, I hinted about it, and then I pretty much flat out and said it. There was dissension among the ranks on the defensive side of the ball in the coaching room last year. These guys are going to be much more on the same page. As long as there's not too many cooks in the kitchen, which I don't believe there will be, I think there's going to be much more cohesiveness, and we'll see far less Rutgers guys running wide open down the sideline, and thank God he dropped that pass. But we're going to see far less of that. At least that's my hope. I'm still like up front, what do we got D-line wise, and what do we got offensive tackle wise? That like those, I'm still looking at those things. Those are not minor questions. Those are gigantic questions that I'm still trying to see where the answers are, but a lot of other things I like. He said, we'll head to break right after this. Everything we do on special teams is all unique. If you want to be a pro, be a pro. Don't talk about it, be about it. The standard here is to be the best. I mean, I gotta be honest. I feel like if I say anything beyond that, I'm gonna ruin it. Like those words are enough. Should we go to break?
Yeah, we should.
All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue. If the week's been too hectic to even think about dinner, or your family can't handle one more night of leftovers, then it's time to let Hog Wild do the cooking. Hog Wild's family packs are one heck of a good deal for a complete barbecue meal loaded with all the smoked meats, tasty sides, buns, and sauces you need to feed your family. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with the child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine. It'll be breezy and warm with an afternoon high around 81. Tonight, clear skies and a light breeze, low near 38. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies, continued breeze, and an afternoon high around 59. I'm meteorologist Kyle Flecker for 93.7 The Ticket, and theticketfm.com.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? Do you need a lawyer you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion? The attorneys at Liberty Law understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Contact us for a free consultation by calling 877-42-LIBERTY. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Bryant at 402-467-1111 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-1111.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Salt Mine City is not only Lincoln's newest brewery, but they're also now serving food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their peanut butter and jelly burger with bacon and cheddar cheese, or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. Don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 11 a.m. every day but Mondays at 8th and R. Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. We got a lot of stuff to get through, Jake. Let's light this candle. All right. Final thoughts on the Eckler press conference before we head over to Terry Braden. All right. Speed, strength, and he's fired up. Okay, about the speed and strength conditioning program here as well, and wants a program full of overachievers. In other words, let's develop some frickin' players on this football team. All right, Coach Terry Brad, new defensive line coach, had no prior connections to Nebraska. Shares that Coach Reed is a big fan. Andy Reid's a big fan of Coach Matt Rhule. Said, and I quote, "Coaching is my ministry," end quote. Appreciated that Coach Rhule was willing to wait for him. Main topic of the defensive line room will be effort and energy. He's big on family relationships and work ethic. And he feels like at this level, he can develop more players and be more like a father figure to the players. So I talked about with basketball, defense in football, it's obviously different, but it's not that different in the aspect in basketball, defense is effort. And that's one of the things that kind of frustrated me with the basketball team. When you play defense in football, the playbook on offense is exponentially larger than the defensive playbook for multiple reasons. It's probably anywhere from half again to twice as large, depending on the playbook itself. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, you've got to adjust to what the offense is doing. If they come out in 3 tight ends and you got 6 DBs on the field, you're an idiot. If they come out in 5 wide receivers and you got like a 4-4 on the field, which Ohio State tried to do with Alabama in the national title game a few years ago, mostly because half their DBs had COVID, they got exposed for that. But you're an idiot if you do that. So the first thing is you've got to be able to adjust to what they're doing because the offense lines up. You don't line up and they react to you. You react to them. But number two, defense is so much attitude, effort, and violence. The offense knows what they're doing. They know where they're going. They know the snap count. They've got the edge on all that stuff. So much of defense is flying to the ball, getting 11 hats to the ball, everybody getting there. The defensive line has less on our plate mentally than the linebackers. We don't have to worry about coverages. We don't have to worry about certain things. We might get a spike stunt or, a couple of calls where you're supposed to stunt to this gap or that gap based on emotion or alignment or something like that. But so much of the defensive line is physicality, is hitting somebody in the mouth, play after play after play, relentless effort, playing like your hair is on fire, trying to get to the quarterback. The first level of the defense, the defensive line, it is so much a mentality of physicality. You've got to like have a couple of screws loose. Like you just do. The second level of the defense is kind of like that with a little bit more complexity to it because now you've got coverages and you've got your run fits as a linebacker. The secondary, you've got coverages. Obviously, you got to factor into the run game. It's going to be a little bit less, but it's much more about athleticism. Okay. Not saying that defensive linemen aren't athletic and linebackers aren't athletic. Obviously, that plays a huge factor, but the closer you get to the ball, the more physical it becomes. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It's the same thing. Like, there's a reason the offensive linemen are exponentially bigger than the guys farther from the ball. So when he talks about the attitude, the effort, all this stuff being a primary focus on the D-line, that makes sense. I think sometimes people kind of forget that. There was an offensive lineman I went against in St. Louis. His name was Adam Goldberg. He played at Wyoming. He wasn't the most athletic person on planet Earth, but he was very smart. And he would try to give me crap. He's like, Adam, I could train my Labrador Retriever to play D-line. See ball, get ball. Like, it's not that simple. But it's a little closer to the truth than I would like to admit. I also would call him unathletic, stiff, and he looked like a statue. So we would go back and forth both ways. And we went against each other every day in practice. But so much of defense and defensive line is a mentality, an attitude, an effort, a violence, a mentality of physicality, play after play after play after play. All right. Let me see here. Football is football. This is Coach Terry Braden. Fundamentals are fundamentals. Something he learned at Kansas City through players like Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, how important it is to listen to your players more and more than just X's and O's. Like, I will tell you this, defensive line coaches and defensive linemen tend to be closer than other position groups and other position coaches. I don't know why that is. I think when something relies so much on being physical and attitude and effort, the more X's and O's are involved. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't be close to your position coach, but the less that's involved and the more it becomes about buy-in from the players, the closer you need to be to your players. And you're going to find you have a hard time finding a position group that needs to buy in more than the defensive line. Coach Addison Williams, secondary is a lot of young talent on this roster. He said fundamentals are the main focus right now. Share Steve Spurrier, Steve Wilkes, Lorenzo Ward have been very influential in his career. Knows he has to come in and earn the respect of the room. He also knows that starts, all right, with his actions. All right. He looks for length, explosiveness, physicality, and playmaking ability. Well, doesn't every coach? A lot of young talent, fundamentals. You hear that F word. Not that F word. The other F word. Fundamentals. You hear from Terry Braden. You hear from Coach Addison Williams. The little things is how I put it. The little things have killed us for far too long. We've got some athletes. We've got some big dudes. Get good at fundamentals. We're going to be a lot harder to beat, especially in those little pesky one-score games. All right, let's see any final thoughts here. I do not have anything else to add. Jake, final thoughts from you, press conference reactions from last week from the aforementioned coaches.
It's just good to hear from, right? I mean, they come in and, especially Eckler, we were kind of underlying that he just kind of says the right thing. So, as good at speaking as Matt Rhule is, he might have some competition as far as, hey, hand this guy the mic.
Dude, I love that. I love that's one of your takeaways. That's an awesome takeaway. Dude, Eckler and Rhule, like, could we get him to, cut a WWE promo on each other?
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, until tomorrow, have a glorious day. If this is your spring break week, I hope you're having fun. If it's not your spring break week, I hope it's next week. Have a great day. Go, Big Red Nose. Remember to throw the bones.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Nottingham Forest plays Man City at 6:30 a.m., followed by Liverpool versus Southampton at 9 a.m. On Sunday, Tottenham plays Bournemouth at 9 a.m., followed by Man United versus Arsenal at 11:30 a.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 67 points. You can find all this and more at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
Salt Mine City is not only Lincoln's newest brewery, but they're also now serving food.